having a wonderful career. She's out in the Midwest. And then another classmate who left, who went to JTS out on the West Coast, which is, I guess, affiliated with them, but the Ziegler School, but I think it's different. So is he applying for the fall?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hebrew College is his first choice.
That's a great program.
It will depend, though, because from what he has been told, they tend to give less financial aid and grants, and so.
Right, well, they haven't been around for as long,
they don't
so
have as big of an
they
agenda.
don't. Yeah. Well, do you know that we have more people in rabbinical school than any other Reform congregation, probably any in the country?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. But yeah, pretty cool.
That's great. Well, please tell him I said hi. It's been a long time since I've seen him.
I will. Thank you. Okay. What page do we start?
Okay, so we're going to wait 1 minute and then I'll give you the.
So it's okay if I take a sip of water to remove my mask for a sec, right?
Please.
Okay.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom. Happy New Year. Welcome. I am so pleased to be here in the sanctuary tonight to welcome Shabbat and to wish everybody a happy New Year. I'm joined by Carol Cohen, who is our cantorial soloist tonight, and by Frank Conlon. We're so appreciative that you're both here with us. And we know that everybody is watching and joining us from home this evening, so we welcome everyone, and we look forward to being able to welcome everyone back into the sanctuary one of these days very soon. And just a reminder that the prayer book is just above where you are watching us on the streaming site, and there is a link to the prayer book. You can click on that, it will open, and I will announce the page numbers as we go through the service. So we will continue on page 2 as we prepare to kindle the Shabbat lights. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. And we'll continue our service on page 10 with Hine Matov.
Hine matov umanayim shemerachim gam yachad. 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 How good it is, how good it is, how sweet it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how good it is, how sweet it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shemerachim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shemerachim gam yachad.
And we continue to welcome Shabbat with the words of Yismachu, which you will find on page 13.
ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירעם הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירעם הים ומלואו. Yamamamamamai, yamamamamamai, yamamamamamamamamamai, yamamamamamai, yamamamamamai, yamamamamamamamamai. Yismchu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam u'melo'o. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירעם הים ומלואו.
We continue with the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, which is on 28, page 28. And if you feel comfortable in doing so, I invite you to rise, page 28. Page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day and to night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. And as we prepare to sing the Michamocha, we're going to continue a tradition before we get to Micha I was so excited. We're going to have Shema, but I've just had Micha on my mind, so stay tuned for Micha because it's going to be wonderful. So we're on page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Please join us as we continue with V'ahavta, page 36.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ela asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochtecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'b'sharecha leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti atchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Now we're going to get ready for Micha, and you'll see in a minute why I was so excited. We have a tradition here at Road of Shalom and other synagogues as well, when we have Shabbat coinciding with a holiday, that often we will change the tune of Micha to a song that is associated with that holiday. So in a moment, you'll hear that Carol's going to lead us in Micha to the tune of Old Lang Syne, and that is so appropriate for Micha because, as we know, the Israelites were told, celebrated when they crossed the Red Sea by singing Micha. They were leaving behind Egypt, things that they wanted to leave behind, just as we're leaving behind 2021 that had some wonderful things in it and some not so good things as well. So we'll continue with Micha to the tune of Old Lang Syne on page 40. He אמר כי פדרנו את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We will continue on page 43 with the beautiful Hashkivenu prayer. Hashkivenu is a prayer that asks God to watch over us while we sleep so that we may wake up renewed to life renewed. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha ushmor tzitenu uvoenu. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha ushmor tzitenu uvoenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chayim. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom alinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
We continue on page 46 with Tefillah, the prayer that connects us to all those who came before us, all those on whose shoulders we stand, whether we can find a connection to our biblical ancestors or perhaps to those that we knew in our own life who helped to make us the people that we are. We connect to our ancestors as we chant Tefillah, beginning on page 46, and if you're comfortable in doing so, I invite you to rise.
Adonai sefateifta ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'mevii gula livnei bneihem, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol, Atah rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim, Umakayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech nemit umachaye, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu ha'selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 53. Days pass and the years vanish. We walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We continue on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 57 with Ritzeh. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael. U'tehillah
continue on page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. And we always appreciate the beautiful Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, but especially so as we enter a new year, and we hope that peace will descend on our world. Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Tosim leolam. Shalom Rav. Ki ata hu melech adon l'chol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon l'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Tosim leolam. V'tov benecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha. Tosim leolam. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav.
We take a few moments for silent reflection and prayer.
Say shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael.
Our thoughts turn now to our friends, our family members, our co-workers who are in need of healing. And in particular, this week, we think of Alon ben Barbara, Esther bat Chana, Chana Esther bat Kreindel, Chana Leah bat Yosef veHendel, Moshe ben Wolf be Daniela, Sima Pearl Leah bat Chaya, Valerie Aronson, Ann Bennett, Henry Botak, Maria Campo, Gabriel Cohen, Jason Eichmann, James Green, Sarah Heppenstall, Gretchen Kugel, Alan Laufman, and Rhoda Moses. We also think today, this evening, of all those in Colorado who have been affected by the terrible wildfires. I know that so many people in our congregation have connections to that area, and gratefully there does not seem to be loss of life, but we know that hundreds of houses were destroyed, including 30 to 40 houses of members of our sister congregation in Boulder. So our hearts go out to all of those who are affected by the terrible fires in Colorado. And we join together in singing Misha Berach.
Misha Berach imotenu, makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
At the beginning of Parashat Va'era, Moses and Aaron are literally and figuratively in a bad place. Their first appearance before Pharaoh didn't succeed, and it resulted in even harsher working conditions for the Israelites. The parasha before this one ended with the Israelites, in fact, condemning Moses and Aaron, and Moses begins to wonder why God sent him in the first place. God tries to reassure Moses. God reiterates the covenant and reminds Moses that he is God's chosen representative. Moses repeats God's words to the people, reminding them of the covenant with their ancestors and letting them know that God has heard their agonized cries for help. Moses tells the people that God promises to free them and to bring them into the promised land. The Israelites' reaction, the Torah tells us, is that they would not listen to Moses, that their spirits were crushed by cruel bondage. The Hebrew phrase, mikotzer ruach, their spirits were crushed, is an interesting one. Many of us are familiar with the word ruach, of course, which means spirit. And the root of the word mikotzer is an interesting one. It means to shorten, to be ineffectual, or to be powerless. And when coupled with a word like ruach or nefesh, spirit, it has a sense of being discouraged, of being worn out, of reaching the limits of patience. The Israelites certainly were exhausted, they were despondent, and they were impatient. They certainly could not believe in this promise of redemption from a God that they barely knew, and they must have felt hopeless. And perhaps we can relate this New Year's Eve. We are so very grateful for the vaccines and for the other advances in the understanding and treatment of COVID. And we are certainly not where we were a year ago. And we're also discouraged with how long the pandemic has lingered, and of course with this new variant. And we're impatient with those who would deny the reality of what is going on around us. And many of us are worn out. Yet, it's important to remind ourselves that in Judaism, hope is an essential, integral part of life. Here's a story that tells us a little bit about how we hope in Jewish tradition and what we hope for. When Napoleon was at the height of his power, when it appeared that all of Europe was at his feet, he ordered 3 prisoners of war to be brought to him: a Russian, a Pole, and a Jew. He had decided to release them, but before he did so, Napoleon said they could ask anything of him, and he would see to it that their wish was fulfilled. The Russian asked that the Tsar be deposed. The Pole asked for the creation of a free and independent Poland. The Jew asked for some schmaltz herring. Napoleon said that he would grant all 3 requests, leaving the Russian and the Pole enthralled by the promise, if not the reality, of bringing salvation to their nations. When the story of the meeting became widely known, members of the Jews community asked him why he had not made better use of this incredible opportunity. Why hadn't he asked Napoleon for guarantees of security for the Jewish community? Or, go wild and crazy, a homeland for the Jews? The Jewish soldier answered, "Do you think Napoleon will really topple the Tsar or free Poland? I, on the other hand, at least received some good schmaltz herring." Rabbi Michael Marmer teaches that it's important to make a distinction between hope and optimism. The two are often confused, but they are very different. To be optimistic, Rabbi Marmer teaches, means to believe that everything is headed towards a happy ending. To have hope, on the other hand, means to believe that whatever happens, a way of coping and building to the future, towards the future, may be found. The origins of the Hebrew word for hope, which you also may know, tikva, are interesting. One tradition links the word hope, tikva, to the word kav, which means cord. You may be familiar with the story in the 2nd chapter of the book of Joshua, in which a prostitute named Rahab offers shelter to a group of Israelite spies who are scouting the land of Canaan. Before they leave, the spies instruct Rahab to hang a scarlet cord from her window, so that when the Israelites return during the conquest of Canaan, her home will be left unscathed. The term for the scarlet thread, tikvat hashani, uses the same word, tikva, hope. Moses Chaim Luzzatto, an 18th century Italian Jewish mystic and poet, saw hope as a line or a cord capable of spanning from earth to the upper reaches of the heavens, perhaps even to God. Dr. Eugene Borowitz, a leading theologian of Reform Judaism, saw another dimension to the word hope. He noted that in the Bible, the root of the word hope, kuf vav he, refers not just to a state of the soul, but to an expectation of time. Dr. Borowitz wrote that the only time we find this particular root in the Torah is in the book of Genesis in chapter 49. I await, kiviti, your help, Adonai. To hope, Dr. Borowitz teaches, is to close the gap between our present condition and a more desirable one in the future. Rabbi Marmer notes that if we link Luzzatto's formulation with Dr. Borowitz's, we can imagine hope as taking hold of the cord, be it ever so flimsy, and using it as a bridge to a future that is still unrealized. If all you do is fantasize about a happy ending, Rabbi Marmer teaches, then it's not hope, it's wishful thinking. Hope is a thread, however elusive, that links us to a possible future. He says it demands that we take hold of it. Otherwise, it is just a loose thread. Over the course of the pandemic, we have done an incredible job, I think, of taking hold of that thread. We've stayed in touch with each other, first only on Zoom and then more and more in person. We've moved back into our beautiful new building. We have continued to study Torah together. Our schools have thrived. We have marked events both joyous and sad. And we have certainly lived the teaching of Rabbi Rachel Shabbat Beit Halachmi, who wrote, "Judaism, whether in a context of glory or in suffering, is a system that creates islands of the sacred regardless of what is happening in the outside world." In her beautiful poem, Manna in the Morning, TRS member Jackie Jules reminds us that as hard as their journey was, and it was hard, the Israelites received sustenance and hope along the way. She writes, "Cook fires, clothing scraps, animal dung have long disappeared from the desert. But the story remains how the Israelites fled Pharaoh under a spiral of swirling white clouds as angels swept stones and snakes from their path. For 40 years, Jews followed Moses with manna-filled bellies, thirst quenched by a wondrous wandering well. The same fountain I sipped this candlelit evening with honeyed challah and roasted chicken. Carrying dishes to the sink, my sandaled feet skip on a freshly swept floor, free of snakes and stones. Tonight, Pharaoh lies drowned behind me, and I am traveling to Canaan, under a sheltering white cloud, certain of manna in the morning." In the year to come, let us continue to create islands of the sacred, regardless of what is happening around us. May we take firm hold of that thread of hope, and may we remain certain of manna in the morning. Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year. We turn now to our concluding prayers, beginning with Aleinu, which you will find on page 282. I invite you to rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינה תזור בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום
As we prepare to say the Mourner's Kaddish, we think of those who have died in the last year. We think of those in our TRS community who have died in recent days. We send our condolences to Judith Lichtman on the death of her mother, Susan Bardos. And we send our condolences as well to the family of Inez Goldstein, a longtime beloved TRS member, both of whom died in recent days. In addition, we send our condolences to those who are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for their loved ones. We think of Marge Kestenbaum, the mother of Terry Gold and Julie White, Nancy Klein, the mother of Sam Klein, Barbara Goldstone, the mother of Marcy Opstall, Sally Margolis, beloved member of Temple Road of Shalom, Ellen Hirschman, the mother of Karen Farrow and grandmother of Kai Farrow, and Michael Levin, the nephew of Eileen Schefferman. In addition, we recall the names of our loved ones whose yahrzeits we observe this week. Manuel Alarcon, Herbert Axelrod, Helene Backman, Horace Banker, Rose Lee Berry, Vera Bergman, Jean L. Bernstein, Philip R. Byers, Betty Bogarad, Diane Brower, Benjamin Budenstein, Rosalie Curto, Eugene Engels, David Feinberg, Tilly Flappen, Benjamin Freed, Pauline Galley, Patricia Geis, Edith Gerson, David Gervis, Meyer Gottesman, Todd Guberman, Riker Hamilton, Ethel W. Herman, Martin Holtzberg, Marion Jacknow, Hannah Katz, Arthur Kessel, Carol Keel, Diana King, Abe Kleinberg, Howard I. Kruger, Josephine Kugel, Howard Lampel, Gerhard Lehman, Natalia Leons, Joan Levy, Samuel Levine, Gary Lewis, Louis Morse, Martin Motu, Mary Pearson, Aaron Pinkert, Jean Pope, Pearl Powers, Beatrice Prince, Fred Pyatt, Abraham Raisin, Paul Rogers, George Rogers Jr., Henry Salkind, Frida Santo, Yvonne Schwartz, Larry Seidel, Leonard Seltzer, Edward Schaefer, Steve Silberberg, Charles Silver, Ida Silverstein, Gregory Skorupa, Sylvia Sonnenthal, Alan Spiegel, Louise Springer, Nick Tombros, Nora Tombros, Andy Weinberg, Melvina Weinberg, Irving Weiner, Emma Winter, Sylvia Zeidner, Ida Zeitlin, and Michael Zuntz. I invite everyone who's comfortable in so doing to rise as we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 294. Yit Gadal V'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma Divra Chirhute V'yamlich Malchute B'chayechon V'yomechon U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agola U'vizman Kari V'imru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh. V'yatadar v'yatalev v'yatalal shemei dekudasha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram v'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of all of our loved ones always be for blessing. Please be seated. I wanted to share a message with you from the president of Temple Road of Shalom, Amy Beckman. Because we don't have anyone in the sanctuary with those of us leading the service, she was not able to be here tonight, and she asked that I share a few words with you. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom and best wishes for a safe and peaceful 2022. I am very appreciative of your patience and understanding as we swiftly adjust our access given the recent resurgence of the latest COVID variant. While we temporarily pause most in-person events, please take advantage of our excellent remote programming and worship opportunities. One event I'd like to call to your attention is a program sponsored by both of our adult ed and youth committees entitled Surviving the Sandwich Generation, moderated by Rabbi Bernstein. A group of panelists, including myself, will offer insights as we share and learn from each other's experiences. This program will be held remotely on Sunday, January 9th from 5:30 to 7:30. Please refer to the weekly e-letter and standalone emails to get the most up-to-date information on all upcoming events at Temple Road of Shalom. Thank you, Carol, Frank, and Rabbi Bernstein for leading us in services tonight from our quiet and peaceful sanctuary. Again, I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Amy, and the same to you. We continue with Kiddush. I hope some of you have some wine at home. Actually, this may actually be wine in here. Oh. I'm not sure. And Kiddush is on page 5. Some of you may have champagne at home. We don't have champagne, but we have something in here that over which we'll make Kiddush. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah lanu v'shabbat kodsho It is grape juice. I could even smell it through the mask. So as we prepare to conclude our service tonight, I want to add my thanks to Amy Beckman, to Carol Cohen for leading the service with me, to Frank Conlon as always, and also to Bob Suslowitz, who is our audio and video person for this evening. So our concluding song, which is on page 339 in your prayer book, is Chava Nashira. Please join us. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. God give us strength, bless us with peace, bless us with hope as we enter the new year of 2022. Shabbat shalom and Happy New Year.